Welcome to another Friday afternoon climb. I don't know whether you can see behind me, but it's actually quite wet up the rock today, and we've had a couple of days of really solid rain. Not torrential, but just solid. Clouds hung around and let a lot of water, especially up here in the Glass House Mountains. So today's climb, I was going to take you up a new climb that I've conquered recently, which I don't like to do with the GoPro early on, but this one I've done it a fair bit. So today I was going to take you up there, but the fact that it's so wet, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take you up one that we've already done before, just to the right of the chimney. But in saying that, it brings me to a point that knowing your limits. Today's wet. I know it's wet. I know it's hard to climb. There's no cars in the car park because rain, people don't climb. For obvious reasons, anything on the mountain that's wet is slippery because it's covered in moss. But I've found that there is still a place there is still a place on the mountain always to climb, unless it's pissing down rain at that moment. There's always a place to climb. The rock dries out really quickly, and the water follows channels to get down the mountain. So you've got to stick to the dry parts, obviously, and then traversing across the wet parts can be a job in itself. But you can usually find a place where there's some good holes facing back up the hill that you can get across. But in saying that, limits, know your limits. I know today nothing outrageous because it's wet, slippery, and chances are something's going to go wrong. So no dangerous stuff, apart from climbing. But you know, last week we touched on, I remember touching on balance of life, and as in having some Mother Nature in your day or your week, a few times a week, making sure you get outside, get some sun, see the trees, and when you do that, just be aware of where you are. Don't just walk through the trees thinking about something. Walk through the trees, walk in the sun, being aware of the sun and the trees and Mother Nature. Just being part of it. Don't think of anything else. If you do, then you're not part of it and you're still trapped in your mind. Don't do that, because you may as well sit in your room and do it. Sometimes it can take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to stop your brain from ticking, but just once you do it more and more, it becomes second nature and it'll become part of your life. And it's amazing once you do. It's like a medicine, insane medicine. Drugs can flow, free drugs. You produce them yourself. Yeah, I know, right? Free drugs. Anyway, so balance of life. Also hanging around with people that are positive influences in your life. Saying no to people that don't give you something to better yourself. If you're getting dragged down by people, there's a good chance you don't need to be hanging around there. It's time to cut ties, and don't need to be nasty about it, but just try to find your way to the people that are positive in your life. And chances are, if you're looking for that type of person, you are one of those people, so you'll attract them naturally anyway. So today I want to touch a little bit on intelligence. It's too easy these days for schools, people, workplaces to think that being an intellectual is intelligence. Intellect is not intelligence. They're two different things. Intellect is knowing what is already known. So you get taught shit that someone already found out, and now they know, so they teach you, you know. You're knowing the known. That's intellect. Intelligence comes from being that first person. That first person that learnt that stuff had to find it out by using their hands and their feet and their powers of deduction, and fear and all those things, danger, courage. They had intelligence because they worked it out for themselves. Intelligence is a combination of intuition, some intellect, and then your gut instinct, and that's where intelligence comes from, is that gut instinct that says to you, this is right, this is wrong, I'm going to have a crack, and being you. And that's intelligence. People can talk about stuff all day that they've learnt. It doesn't make them smart people. You can be more intelligent than them. So don't get caught up in the world of intellect. Sure, good to learn stuff, need to learn stuff, but try to learn it in a holistic way, not just reading it, become it. For an example, this mountain, it's simple to be able to research websites that say this route is here, you follow this for 300 metres, turn right, follow that track 25 metres, and then 7 metres to the right of this tree there's a first bolt, and then you climb up there. I had no interest in that. I came to this mountain totally blind, started at the top and climbed my way down from the top. So there's a tourist route, you can get up easily enough, and then climb down the front face without any knowledge of where to go. And that brought on fear, that brought on courage, that brought on the extra fitness, the strength, the adventure side, the adventurous side, where you go, wow, wonder what's down that next bit, don't know. The idea of climbing down from the top was that it's harder to climb down than it is up. So if you climb down and you get stuck, you can climb back up to get out. If I came up from the bottom and you got stuck, sometimes you can't get out because you can't climb down, and you can't climb up because you've got yourself stuck. So that was my philosophy. Climb down. If you get stuck, you know you can climb back out, because down is harder than up. Okay, so yeah, a couple of simple things there. Intuition and intelligence go together. Instinct, all those really well. Intellect, being an intellectual, sure, it can impress people, good to learn stuff, but witness it firsthand. Get into it, know it for yourself. Don't just know the known, know the unknown, and that's where all the fun is, knowing the unknown. Don't be afraid of the unknown. Fear brings on courage. Fear, well, courage is not, it's not the, courage doesn't mean that there's an absence of fear. Courage is more the ability to overcome fear. So if you're courageous, you still feel fear, but you overcome it. So don't think that courageous people are totally fearless. They're not. They just know how to overcome it because they've chased the unknown. Yeah. Anyway, I dribble on as normal. Let's do a bit of a climb. I'll keep this a little bit shorter than normal so that we don't bore the shit out of everyone, including myself. So climb aboard as normal, and we're going to go up just to the right of the chimney. So as per all our climbs, hang on tight, don't choke me, and if you get scared, just let me know. So you can see there, it's quite wet. All this, it's really wet up here. So we're not going anywhere near that. That is super slippery because it's mossy. But you can see, like I was saying earlier, if that rain and water is following that path there, and there's numerous paths along the mountain, but in between is dry spots of rock. So climbing is not done and dusted if it rains. It just means you've got to do a little bit more work to get to where you want, to get to a nice place to climb. If you do come across wet patches, just don't step on them. And if you have to step on them, make sure they're facing back up. Make sure your holds are facing back up so that there's no way your foot can slip out, because once that moss gets wet, it's ridiculously slippery. So we're just going to traverse a little here, get back down to a nicer place to climb up. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for everyday people being courageous. We all think that heroes are born. Heroes are generally people that have just found a way of overcoming the fear somewhat. Still feel it, but they embrace it and they know how to act when it comes on. So everyone feels fear, and courageous people just know how to overcome it. And the only way to do that is to put yourself in situations where you feel it. Feel that fear. Okay. So because there has been a fair bit of rain, I'm just going to be careful, more careful than normal, even though I've done this route before, because sometimes the rain dislodges parts that used to be good. So I'm going to double check them like it's the first time up here. As you can see, this bit to my left is wet, so I want to stay away from it. Dry, wet, stay away from the wet. It's just so slippery. It's like dishwashing liquid. It's ridiculously slippery. So I can understand why people don't come up here in the rain, especially sport climbers, because their routes are set in concrete. They're bolted into the rock. So when it rains, they can't move their climbing place of climbing. It is where it is. And they're just about impossible to climb when it's like a slip and slide dishwashing liquid slip and slide. Okay. So, I don't know whether you can see it on the GoPro, but there's lots of wet coming down over there. Patches of dry in between. Yeah, I wanted to take out that corner just there. It's super steep. Now, a really good climb. It's usually only a roped climb, but I've managed to conquer it lately. And it's taken me quite a few goes. But finally got it. But not today. It's too moist. Okay. I hope everyone's had a good week. Get out this weekend. Get outside. Yeah, talking to you. Doesn't need to be for long. Do the things still that you need to do, but start your day, especially at the start of the day. It's fantastic because it sets this pace of your day. If you work up a bit of a sweat, get outside, birds chirping, sun's out, whatever. I know that can be a bit of a cliche, but it's the truth, man. Get a bit of it in you. 4 walls will kill you. Okay, into this crack. It's actually a little bit damp this side there, so just going to have to be extra careful here. Up, grab this here. See all that water coming down there. Grab my little spoon holds here. Feet. I've got a lot there, but I've learnt to trust that they're not going to break off, and I'll try to be quick enough to get that next hold, so if it does, that I'm ready to hang. Okay. We've got a reasonably good foothold here. These handholds are good. It's on a bit of a backward slope, that one. So I've got to try to hang on at the top here. And push off. This leg will come up.